All right. This whole Discord conversation that we're having right now is between Big Will and Jim Min. They're two of my really good friends now, and we talk on a daily basis. But today, Will and we were talking just casually, and I kind of realized what I've been doing wrong. I feel like I've failed as an educator in the Discord simply because you guys see me on a weekly basis turning $200 into 2,000, or like yesterday I started with 50 and then made 420 in 2 days. And my question has always been, why are these people that are watching what I'm doing, they're not making money? Um, Granted, you guys are making money, but you guys are not making the percentages that I am. And today, with talking to Will, I kind of realized that I have carried over my small cap strategy. And for the new people listening, I'll go ahead and give a backstory. I started trading small caps in 2021. I studied the stock market since I was 18. I'm 30 years old now, but in 2021, I got laid off because of COVID, and I started trading full time. And it was the small cap market that was very hot. I could not do again what I did then, but I turned $500 into 2.4 million in 8 months. Over the course of the past 2 years, I have made $3.1 million. So the way that I used to trade was scalping, scalping, scalping. And the strategy has stayed the same. It has not changed. But when we come over to these large cap options, one thing that I've noticed is I'm holding my trades a lot longer than I used to. My trades used to last like 30 seconds. Um, the difference between small caps and these large caps are, you might have a small cap stock pre-market at $1. They release news, they run to 17. Key levels are completely irrelevant. The RSI, completely irrelevant. None of that stuff matters. But you go over to things like Tesla or SPY or NVDA, and key levels are relevant. The whole purpose of key levels is we know where it's going to go to. But we have a lot of people in the Discord, and this is solely my fault. For instance, yesterday, I took a trade at open because I said it looks like a 10-minute trend day, and it ran up, and I made 160% on my portfolio. Then today, same situation. We had another trade, and I made 200% on my portfolio. But people are trading simply based off of what I've taught. And, I realize that now you're doing the right things, but you're not succeeding because you don't see the longer time frames. So for here on out, if I find out someone's watching the 1 minute chart and I'm watching the 10-minute chart, I'm going to mute you in the Discord because you're going to get shaken out of these trades. We cannot trade that way anymore. This is not small caps. This is large caps. The reason I'm succeeding and no one else is because essentially you guys are trading the way that I have taught, which is right. I sit beside Big Will every single day, and he's trading the way that we have learned. Enter 10 calls, scale your calls, close your calls. But the market changes every day, and you have to be able to identify those trend days, and you do that by the longer time frames. So that's essentially what this entire conversation is about, is being able to identify the longer time frames. The only time we want to go back to the 1 minute or the 5 minute chart is when we see a setup on the longer time frames. That's how we get our entries. And that's what this is about. And that's what I want to talk to Will and to Jim about here, to get their input on everything. But my request to everyone is to stay off of the 1 minute chart, because you're going to get shaken out of these trades. If you have a small account, you're going to chase a dollar amount. And that's the difference between what I've accomplished and what other people that are learning from me have accomplished. Is I have money to replace. So if I have $100 account and I blow it up, I can replace it. So I'm going to take riskier trades. And that's not what this is about. It's about growing as a trader and growing your bank account. So here's the difference. Someone with a $10,000 account, they're looking at the percent gains. Someone with a smaller account, say $500, you're looking at the dollar amount. But what you fail to realize is, you know, you have a $500 account, you made 10% on your portfolio, that's $50. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're trading with a small account and that's all you have, you're trying to get rich. And that's not the way to approach this. This is about building a skill that will last you a lifetime. Someone with a $10,000 account makes 10% on their portfolio. That's $1,000. They're not going to trade anymore that day. They just made $1,000. But you guys both made the same trade. You got shooken out, or you made your 50 and then you wanted to make 100. It all comes down to greed, and we can't do that anymore. So what I want everyone going forward to do is focus as a team. We take trades together, we scale together, and we grow together. If I'm saying one thing, you're saying another, if we don't agree on it, we don't take the trade. And that's what it comes down to. And now I want Will and Jim's opinion on how we need to approach this, because these two guys, in my opinion, are two of the best at technical analysis. They see everything that I see, and then they see more. I've taken so many of Will and Jim's trades, I can't even count. So over the past month, I've made, you know, $10,000, $15,000 on a small account, but they didn't, because they're still scalping. We cannot use a scalper's mentality anymore. If we have a small account, scalping with a big account and scalping with a small account, two different things. You can't do that if you have a small account. So if there's anything that I can change in the Discord, Will or Jim, I need you guys' opinion, how we approach this.
Yeah, well, I'll start real quick. This is Jim. So the one thing I'm learning is to just try to trust my instincts and trust my intuition more. You know, like Bentley said, he takes some of the trades that Will and I kind of point out, but yet Will and I are probably not taking those trades, and then only to see it, you know, go in our favor, and then like, oh my God, now I got to jump in, and next thing you know is that's when it's reversing. So, you know, one thing that we all need to kind of, you know, think about is to just trust our gut, trust our instincts. We're getting taught the right way. We're getting taught by someone who's been very successful at this. And if you just sit and listen every day, like we're doing, you know, in the all day live, you're gonna eventually get it. You know, I think, you know, I probably can't just speak for myself, but I'm sure a lot of us in the Discord are all in the same boat of, you know, like we're trying really hard to, you know, be better than everybody else. And I think sometimes, me personally, I get caught up in the greed factor. I see the gains of others, you know, and I'm chasing that gain. I'm chasing that dollar. And, you know, I'm tired of blowing up accounts. And for me now, I think the light bulb moment has been just figuring out that this is just about me. And the trades that I make are, if I'm going to be successful at this, it's not about, you know, gaining back the money that I've lost and put into this over the course of the past year. It's all about doing it the right way, you know, taking base hits, compounding those gains.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's a very good point, is like comparing yourself to others. In my opinion, the moment that you fail is the moment that you think you know more than the person sitting beside you. My success is simply from watching a successful trader and wanting to be better than him. So I don't want anyone coming into this Discord and seeing me make the money that I'm making and say, damn, I wish I could make as much money as him. I want them to say, well, he's doing this, there's a better way to do it. So I need to listen to what he's saying, and I need to perfect what he's doing wrong. And that's when you succeed, is when you take what I'm teaching and you do it in your own way. And like I said, the light bulb moment for me as an educator was earlier when I was talking to Will, and I'm holding these trades longer than everyone else because everyone else doesn't see what I see. And it's simply because we're learning to scalp. And like I said, you cannot scalp with those small accounts, and you cannot compare your gains to my gains. Someone in the Discord may post 1,000%er, and they have, you know, $100 portfolio. And you can't compare it to that because you don't know what they're trading with. Like, you know, I could have easily screenshotted my percentage gains in the last 2 days, and everyone would be like, holy shit, this guy's a fucking legend or whatever, because he just made 800% on his portfolio. But they don't realize I had $50. Like, that's the thing, is when you have that big portfolio, you no longer worry about that. Like, you're here for the freedom. And that's when you start to understand is, I just made $1,000 today. That's 1% of my portfolio, or 5%, whatever. And you're okay with it, and you can walk away. And that's where it comes down to the point now where everyone in this Discord, I do believe the first trades that we make, you guys are making money. And the only difference is between what I did and what you guys are doing right now is you guys are continuing to trade when I stopped. That's why every morning I say, if you're up on the day, walk away. But as a new trader, you're eager to keep going and going and going. You're looking at this as a lottery ticket or a casino where it's unlimited money. Well, it's just like a casino. Stock market's trying to take your money, and you're probably not going to succeed if you do that. You know, if you sit at a blackjack table with $500 and you make 1,000, you don't walk away, you're going to lose it all. But if you walk away, you know, you just profited. And you have to look at it that way, because the longer you sit at the table, the more money you're going to give back. So anytime you're up on the day, you have to walk away. But we need to utilize these longer time frames and get away from that scalper's mentality. Get away from the 1 minute chart, the 5 minute chart if we have to. If we see a setup on the 10-minute chart, say we see a cup and handle on a 10-minute chart, then we go to the 1 minute and look for our entry, because we see the longer time frame is bullish. We go to that 1 minute chart, we look for our entry, we get in early, and we ride it out. The past 2 days are a perfect example of utilizing the longer time frames. I'll go up here and I'll show everyone. Just to confirm, Jim and Will, can y'all see my screen up here?
Yes.
Okay, so you guys see how these two charts look. Okay, this will go back to yesterday, and you see we're just riding that 9 EMA right here. Rejected off the 200, came up, second attempt, we broke it, wicked under. But now if we go to this 1 minute chart and we zoom out, you could make so many trades in this, and you've been shaken out so many times through this. But we have to understand that we're not scalping this if we have a small portfolio. We're waiting for that perfect setup that we can hold. And what I mean by that is we're waiting for, you know, $1 or $2 possible moves, and then we can go in with a small portfolio and we can hold longer. If you have a small portfolio and you're buying 1 or 2 contracts and making 10 trades a day, you're never going to fucking make money. Excuse my language, but you're not going to fucking make money. You have to take those 10 trades that you're currently taking, compile them into one, and wait for that perfect setup. That's what the all day lives are about, is waiting for that perfect setup. Some days we get them at open. Some days we get them at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We don't know, but if you have a small account, stop scalping, because you are going to trade sideways for the rest of your life. We have to find the perfect setups, and we have to go heavier. And that's literally all it comes down to. So get off of the 1 minute chart. We can go to the longer time frames. Will, if you had to say one of your biggest struggles right now in the market, what would it be?
I've got so many struggles. One is this right here, the 1 minute chart. It's fucked me a lot of times. But I feel like missing an entry and then just rushing into it when I could have waited for a better position. Just because you see everybody else lining up green, you're gonna jumping in a little bit late when it's not an official pullback. That's a hard one not to do. But switching those time frames up has been a challenge for me.
Yeah.
Moving from the smaller, I was accustomed to scalping and having a bigger portfolio than I use now. So now I feel like I've started to understand that a lot. But I think that there's nothing wrong with the initial portion, scalping that a portion of your trade.
Yeah.
But that's where scaling a bigger position, so you're not in the red a ton, is very important.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of the questions that come through the Discord, I mean, you can just shake your head at, because people have not watched those videos. I feel like watching those videos first and then applying what you're saying to the 10 and the 30 minute would be very valuable to everybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree 100%. And I know every day I'm like, this is a place to scale. This is a spot. I don't mean that for people that are taking, 1 to 5 contracts. Close your position, take your profits. Scaling is very important because you do secure those profits, but you have to think of this from a standpoint of the account value. Everyone that we see in the Discord, we're all trading with different account values. I may be trading with 5,000 and you may be trading with 1,000. You have 10 contracts, I have 50. I have more opportunity to scale. So we go to those scale points, we take our profits. 9 times out of 10, if a stock runs or if a stock drops, we're in calls or puts, your scale is just to secure your profit so your stop loss can be a little lower. You might break even on that trade. But what that does, say I have 50 contracts and I scale 25 of them. And then I scale 5 of them at the next key level, and then 5 of them, and then another 5. I have 10 contracts left. Those 10 contracts are probably going to make me a lot more money than those 40 did. But the whole purpose is to secure your profits, especially with a small account. And that's the difference is being able to teach and not knowing what everyone's portfolio value is, and people actually listening. One of the things that frustrates me the most, and I've told you this, Will, is when people say, well, when's the next entry? If you miss the initial entry, do not ask that. I'm going to say, because what happens is you're going to be entering at the point where we're scaling for a possible reversal. If you miss that first entry, there is going to be another trade that presents itself. It's going to take time. It may be later in the day or tomorrow. But if you miss that first entry, the whole point is for us to get in those trades early enough to scale those. But if you have the small accounts, close your position. I don't care if you have a $500 account and you make $20. Close it, compound it.
So Ryan, what advice would you give for those that are scaling and say buying 10, 20, 30 contracts at a time? Would you think like a good rule of thumb is half the position, a third of the position at each key level? Or, because I think one of my bad habits that I have is that I'll buy 20 to 30 contracts at a clip, and it moves 2 or 3 cents, and I'm immediately like I'm cutting 3/4 of the position, and only to then see 5 seconds later it shoot up even more, another 5-10 cents, and now I'm like, now I'm scaling 1, 2 at a time when I should have been scaling 15 or 20 at that point.
Absolutely. That's where I'm glad you asked this, because I probably wouldn't have even covered this. But when I'm trading now, since I'm not trading with $1 million portfolio, I'm trying to wait on those perfect entries. Obviously at open, we gamble a little bit. We'll take 2 or 3 contracts. But when I'm entering 50 plus contracts or 20, 30, whatever it is, I'm only doing that because I know where it's going to go. That's the whole purpose of key levels and technical analysis. And that's why I wanted you guys to be on here with me, is because you guys are just as good at identifying those key levels as I am. When you're trading things like SPY, Tesla, NVDA, QQQ, all of those, we know the key level, we know where it's going to go. So why are we closing our position and losing money to get to that point? And I think that's the thing that a lot of people are struggling with is, they're getting those 2 or 3% gains, like you said, and they're scaling over half of their position. Like today, Will was in a trade, and I think you had 20 contracts, Will. And I was like, I would only scale 5 right here because we see the possibility of where it can go. The key levels are there for a sole purpose. The key levels tell us where that stock can go. So we're not going to scale heavy until it gets there. Say SPY is right now at 436.95, so 437. Say tomorrow we set up in a bullish pattern and the next key level is 440. Okay, so I'm going to have, say, 50 contracts. I'll probably scale 10 on that 438 pullback, then 10 more at 439. And then that's when you start making money as it's going. You have to know where the stock can possibly go. Obviously, if the stock has a 40-cent move, if it reverses right here, let me see the 30-minute time frame. If the stock reverses, if I can pull over to this, say the stock reverses and we know this could go to VWAP. Okay, well, VWAP is at 436.21. We're not going to short that. We're going to wait and see if it bounces. And then we're going to continue to scale our position. We're going to scale it along the way. But if this stock does drop there and it sets up, we're going to close our position in full. You're only going to close your position or scale a ton of your position at reversal points. You've already secured your profits at those 2 whole dollar marks that I just mentioned. And then our stop loss for the rest of our trade is at reversal points. So we're not going to go in and scale a very significant number out of the gate. If you're entering a trade and it has 40 cents to move, then yeah, you're probably going to close more than half your position to secure those profits because you don't know where it can go. But when you have a very significant key level that it can go to, you want to scale less and get to that point. And that's the sole reason I've been making more money than everyone else, is because everyone else looks at the 1-minute chart over here and they start panicking. We can't do that anymore. We have to look at these longer time frames, and that's going to keep us in the trades longer. 1 minute fails, we go to 5 minute, 5 minute fails, we go to 10 minute. But our key level is still there and we know it's going to hit it.
Yeah, another aha moment for me. Earlier you were talking about the casino and the gambling, and I'm a gambler by nature. Like I like the adrenaline and the energy of it. And unfortunately, what happens for me is I treat trading like gambling sometimes. And the new aha moment for me is not thinking, okay, if I lose this all, I'm just going to be able to replenish it. I'm now going in with the attitude that this is the best of it. I don't, what's going on over there?
I think Will's fighting with a bear right now.
Jeez, Will.
But yeah,
no, so I was saying like that it just, the new mentality now for me is just kind of, knowing that, hey, if I lose this and blow this up, I can't replenish it anymore.
yeah,
Even though I probably could, the mindset needs to be that I can't. And, I'm no longer going to be treating this as, being in a casino. I'm treating this as like, this is a path for financial freedom.
absolutely.
Bottom line is just listen to what the guy is saying, and that's kind of the new thought pattern on my side is, I'm humble now, like I'm trying to do this on my own. I'm trying to prove to myself that I can do this, without you.
Absolutely.
But to be honest, like while I'm learning, I do need you. And I think we all need you,
No, absolutely. And that's a big point. Here is I don't want anyone in this Discord to rely on me, but I want you guys to listen to me. But until I'm taking a trade and you understand fully on every trade that I'm taking why I'm doing what I'm doing, I don't think people should trade on their own. Like you got to think about this. yes, I'm making money on Discord. And I will say this proudly, there are more people in my Discord that are in here for free than that are paying. And why? Because they prove their success, their success to me. I don't want your money, but if you're paying me, you're going to pay attention. So what I want people to think about is, why are you paying me? Are you paying me to copy me, or are you paying me to learn? If you're paying me to copy me, you're going to lose every day. If you're paying me to learn, you're going to build a skill set that's going to last you a lifetime. Don't compare your profits to my profits. I promise, if you're trading the same strategy that I'm trading, I'm not saying this arrogantly. This is my strategy. I'm going to beat you day in and day out. So your goal should be not to be as good as me, but better than me. So find out a flaw in my strategy, make it your own, and then succeed. You cannot, no one can take my strategy from me, and no one can beat me in my strategy. It's all about taking what I'm teaching and making it your own, and that's when you succeed. Yes, you know, everyone that I've taught that is successful now, they're using my strategy, but guess what? They put their own twist on it, and that's when they succeeded. Everyone in this Discord, it's a small community. There's literally like 100 people in premium right now. I know there's 3,000. Let me go look. There's 3,705 people in the Discord. There's only 100 people in premium. I don't want more people than that. I don't want your money. I want your success, because it does not matter if I made 3 million or 10 million. When I die, no one's going to remember the guy that made a lot of money. They're going to remember the guy that people talk about their success to. Like, well, how did you learn this? So, you know, Bentley Trading, he taught me. And then they're going to teach someone, and they're going to teach someone. It's a chain reaction. My favorite quote of all time is one that I created. I guess it's arrogant to say, but it's, one person cannot change the world, but one person can create a chain reaction that changes everything. And that's my whole purpose with this Discord. That's why I limit the members. I don't want a bunch of people in here. I want a fucking team that's going to do this with me. And we do it day in and day out, and we all succeed together. That's what it's all about to me. And I think everyone in the Discord, you know, is in the same position that you two guys are in right now. And I think we're there, and I think we're ready. But it comes down to me being able to change that scalper's mentality. Yes, if you have a $10,000 account, scalp, because you just made $1,000 on 100 contracts and it moved 10 cents. You have a very small account, you can't do that. You have to compound it. So we got to get out of that scalper's mentality and wait for the perfect setups.
There's something else. I had a little list, and you guys have covered a lot of the list already. But when you're entering a trade, this is something that I don't know if you say save your capital, but I feel like just because you're talking about a trade, oh, this is a nice setup, I feel like people are probably jumping in at certain times, because I know I have, without
Absolutely.
really understanding that trade fully.
Yeah,
and I
Me
feel like
too.
if you don't understand that fully, you should not enter it, because we think, oh, well, it could go to here. Well,
yeah,
where else could it go? If it's supposed if you say, hey, I'm taking calls right here, guys, I'm not going to tell you my exact entry. Well, where should you be exiting that? If you're watching the videos and you just think you exit on the 20, well, if your exit was not appropriate for the EMA crossover, you don't know where your exit is.
absolutely.
And you don't want to risk your capital when you're looking at something and you're saying, okay, this would be a nice 50 cent to $1 move. Are
Mhm.
you going to risk your whole portfolio on that? Or are you going to say, I could buy 10 cent contracts, that's $100. I can risk, losing 50% of that $100 for a $1 move. But are you going to do it for 50 cents?
Yeah.
Not a smart move. So that's where, when you're jumping in a trade because you already missed it and there's one pullback, why
Mhm.
would you buy 50 contracts?
Yeah.
You might
And
need to buy 10.
one thing that I think people do with that is, I'm saying, you know, this cup and handle looks really good. I'm not saying I'm in this trade or anything. And people see a cup and handle, they enter, and you can't do that, because what happens is this cup and handle could pull back $1. And then you're going to panic and you're going to close that trade, when if you would have waited on the setup, like I teach in the videos, if you'll just wager on that setup, you could have got a cheaper entry because the premiums are going to decay. We trade 0 DTEs. They're going to decay. You could have got a way cheaper entry, but that's one thing that I'm struggling with right now is people's entry. When I say this looks good, it does not mean enter. I'm not entering. When I enter a trade, Will, you've seen this. If I'm entering a trade, I tell people, okay, I'm looking at these 438s. They're at so-and-so cents. And then, you know, that's when I enter. But a lot of people here, like you said, okay, here's a cup and handle or whatever it is. And they're going ahead and entering when, if they would just waited 5 minutes, you know, they could have got 50% cheaper on those contracts and doubled their amount of contracts.
Yeah, and I think it comes down back to the whole trusting your, you know, your instincts, right, as a trader. And, you know, I find myself sometimes, like, I'm guilty of it. Like, I'll hear you say, like, you know, watch this double bottom, or, you know, watch, you know, this, look at this cup and handle. And my immediate thought is, okay, time to enter. But, you know, now it's just like, I'm learning to trust myself more and say, okay, but here's the cup and handle, but where is the proper entry? You know, what can
Exactly.
happen? What can happen if it reverses right here? You know, maybe I wait a little bit for the entry,
Yeah.
you know, and kind of go from there, you know. But and that's hard. It's hard to do, because I think like a lot of us in here really trust you and trust your teaching, and they've seen the successes that you've had. But
Absolutely.
you know, everyone needs to realize that we are all different traders. And the fact of the matter is just because Ryan says something doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be right. I mean, 9 times out of 10, you're right. But, you know, you have to just treat it as your own trade and think to yourself, well, why is he entering? And where is the proper entry, type of thing.
Absolutely. And that's where it comes down to the scalper's mentality that I'm talking about. Is then that's I'm not promoting the all day live by any means. I don't give two shits if anyone else ever joins this and half of y'all drop off. That it's not for everyone. You know, there's 100 people in the Discord right now that are paying, and you guys are listening. I can promise you probably about 10% of you guys are going to get it. It all comes down to who wants it the most. But we get out of this scalper mentality, and you guys just sit here and listen to the tone of my voice. If I'm sitting here talking and I'm saying, well, this is so and so, but it could do this, I'm probably not entering that trade. This is not an alert service. I'm literally just talking to myself while I'm trading. Unless Will's over here and talking crazy, and I'm gonna talk to him. But I'm talking myself through these trades. And like today, when everyone was panic selling over here, people were trying to buy puts right here. This is a 30-minute chart that I was watching. And it's so obvious to me because, you know, if you're good at scalping, a good scalper can swing trade if they change their time frame. A good swing trader cannot scalp because they don't know how to approach the chart. We are good scalpers. Now we have to utilize the longer time frames. So today, when everyone was wanting to short over here, I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh shit, this is a damn tweezer bottom. Like, we just, on the 30-minute chart, we wicked under all of the important indicators and we wicked back up. So I entered calls here today at 11 cents. Why? It wicked under all the important EMAs that we're looking at. We know the 200 EMA is very, very important. We wicked over. I entered to break the 9 EMA. Everyone on live saw me do it and they didn't understand why I was doing it. I entered there because I was looking at the 30-minute chart, and I was also looking at the 5-minute chart. We go back to the same situation over here, the same place that I entered. What do we see? We see an ATR rejection, a wick over, a pullback. It bounces off of the 9 and 20 EMA crossover. And then guess what happens? It breaks it. We enter. And then this is where everyone got faked out. But if you look at the 30-minute chart, no one should have got faked out, because we go back there. This is what we see. We see it holding the 9 EMA. Now we go back to the 5-minute chart that we were getting our entry on, and it looks like people should get shaked out. are shaking out, but it's just a crossover. This is bullish as shit right here, but people don't see that because they're looking at the 1 minute chart and they're getting faked out. Get off of the fucking small time frames and trust your instinct. Trust the longer time frames. If the 30-minute chart looks bullish and the 1 minute looks bearish, I can promise you the 30-minute chart is going to beat it every single time. And that's what I found out earlier is I'm utilizing the longer time frames. Granted, I have over 100 inches of screen in front of my face with multiple time frames, but I'm utilizing these longer time frames, and then I'm looking at the smaller when I want to enter these trades. The 30-minute chart never failed me. The 5-minute chart never failed me. And then look what happens after. We set up for a trend. This is a micro pullback. Why do I say micro pullback? Look at the volume on this. This is a decrease in volume. And then look what happens. It runs up. So I'm utilizing not one time frame. I'm utilizing the longer time frames, and that's keeping me in these trades longer. And I think that's where everyone is struggling. They're getting shaken out of these trades because they're on the 1 minute chart. So my advice to everyone is get off of that. There's absolutely no reason that I should be sitting here making this money and you guys that are listening aren't. And you guys, in my opinion, are not doing anything wrong. You're trading from a scalper's mentality on that 1 minute chart. You're closing your trades properly, but you're failing to look at the longer time frames and seeing the bigger picture. So we got to see the bigger picture here. And that's all it comes down to. I don't want to start, a 10K account and make $1 million, and then you guys aren't doing it with me. I understand people can't have, $10,000 accounts, but we're making money daily on a consistent basis. It's very rare that we have a day where we're not getting, 100, 200, 300%, at least twice a day. So it comes down to waiting on the longer time frames to set up, entering those trades properly, and letting it play out, because your technical analysis is good. And if you're in this Discord, I can promise you your technical analysis is better than 99% of the people. What separates me from other people, and I'm not saying this shitting on anyone that has a Discord or anything, what separates me from them is I have dumbed myself down to a level of a new trader, and I'm trading every week on a small account so you guys can succeed with me. No one else is doing that. They're fucking trading with $100,000 accounts and plus, and they're making $10,000 a day, and they look flashy because they're going to Dubai and all these other places. They're fucking trading with $100,000. They're not trading with these small accounts. No one else on FinTwit or anywhere in the stock trading world is consistently doing what I'm doing with small accounts. I'm doing that to help you guys realize that and capitalize on it. Stop doing what you're doing, utilize the longer time frames, and listen to what I have to teach. You make one trade and you make 100%. It does not mean you're the best trader in America. It means you have fucking work to do, because the next trade that you take needs to be 100%er. You're competing with yourself. You're not competing with me. You're not competing with anyone else. If you make 100% trade, guess what? Your goal should be the next trade, wait for the perfect setup and make 105%, and so on. You're going to lose money, but your wins will always outweigh your losses if you trade with common sense. And everyone in here has common sense, and you guys are all good at technical analysis. The only issue right now is you're over trading. Utilize the longer time frames. Which one of you nerds have something to say?
I think that over trading is a very good, that's what a lot of us do. I know I do it. I do it every day. You've watched me do it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
one thing that you said to me in private, I don't know if you've said it on the Discord or not, but whenever you're considering one trade, you have to have enough capital for, you went in on an entry and that entry is just buckled. It's going the opposite direction. Well, you need to have your bail set quickly to where you can escape that trade. But that's still the same trade when you go back for the entry. So if you've got $1,000 and you just dumped $1,000 into that trade, you can't trade that trade.
Can't come
It's
back
the
from it.
same trade with a better entry if you just wait on it and you exit it really fast.
Yeah,
That's different from it going one direction and then you scaling too fast.
absolutely. You can't trade on a prayer. And that's a big thing about these small accounts is, yes, I'm putting in a big portion of mine, but guess what? If the first trade that I take fails, I have another trade to take. Why? Because I'm not utilizing all of my portfolio. You have to have a backup plan when you're trading stocks. And I don't mean, your college degree or anything like that. I mean, if you have $1,000 account, you trade with 250. If that trade fails and you lose $50, guess what? You have 3 more entries with $250 and you can come back from it. And that's a big thing, is over trading. You can't do that. I did not succeed in the stock market. I blew up 20 accounts, and I told you guys this before we went live. I blew up 20 accounts, and I was going to quit, but I didn't. I tried it one more time, and I found out what I was doing wrong, and it came down to over trading, and that's it. Every day I came to the market, I was up, and then I'd keep trading and trading and trading because I was chasing that dollar amount. I didn't realize how important percentages was. And when I realized that, that's when I succeeded. If you have $1,000 account, 10% today is $100, but think about 10%. If you do that every day, 6 months from now, that's what it comes down to. You can't overtrade. You have to limit yourself every single day, and you have to have a certain range that you're willing to lose. And you also have to be able to come back from it. The first trade you take is wrong. Second trade you take is going to be right if you wait for the proper entries.
Yeah, greed is an absolute killer, man. I know a lot of us are probably guilty of it because I see it. I see it in some of the comments in the Discord about, someone was up, had 100% trade, and then, they come back and say, oh, now I'm down, $100. I mean, I'm guilty of it too. So I think going forward, it's, not having that greedy mentality. If you take a trade and you're up money, just be done.
Exactly.
Not a lot of us have the kind of the ability, or, to be in front of our screens all day long. Some of us have just a small window of opportunity. And if that opportunity does not exist, stop forcing trades. Do not just take a trade because you have that window to take a trade. I'm practicing what I preach because I sometimes have this little small window to trade in, due to other commitments and such. And the next thing you know, I'm trying to force something because I have to make a trade.
Absolutely.
Whereas if I just wait for that 1 or 2 days a week that we have the trend day, you can literally make up your entire week. And that you're going to be on live at that time, at that window, one of those days, it's bound to happen. So that's the big light bulb moment for me, is like realizing, and I know you say this all the time, just because the stock market is open does not mean we need to trade.
Absolutely.
And that to me is going to help preserve my capital even more so going forward than in the past. Like, it's truly, now I feel like the technical analysis is there. I've been listening to you now for almost a year. The technical analysis piece is there. I get it. I know it. I still need to be a little bit more confident in it and trust it.
Yeah.
And just stop being a fucking bitch and stop gambling. I mean,
Exactly.
That's really what it comes down to. I mean, I can say that about myself. No one else better.
I can say it too, because you called me a bitch quite a few times, but
Yeah.
but no, I never. And the whole reason I wanted to do this is because I've questioned myself as an educator, not because I think I'm teaching wrong. I think I do have the best education there is out there for the stock market, because I learned the hard way and I taught myself. And this is something that takes a very long time, but I think I've dumbed it down so much where a kindergartner can learn it. But what you can't teach is emotional attachment to the money that you're trading with. And until you don't have an emotional attachment to it, that's why I blew up those first 20 accounts, is because essentially I needed the money. I had to make money. And then now after compounding, you know, I don't have to worry about that anymore. So when I'm trading, there is no emotion attached to it whatsoever. And I think everyone needs to think from that aspect. I understand that the money you're trading with, you can't afford to lose. So think of this as a full-time job. You know, if you're making $500 a week and you make $500 in the stock market, why the fuck would you blow it? Because guess what? You know, you make $500 at your job, you're not going to go and blow it. You're going to use it for bills and stuff. If you want this to be a full-time job, you have to treat it that way. This is not a gamble. This is not anything. This is something that everyone is trying to do to get out of working for someone else. And it's something that everyone that I've taught has the ability to do. And it makes me emotional thinking about it. Is like I'm in the position to change lives now, and I know I have. There are so many people in this Discord that are doing this full time now and rely on me. So anytime that I'm able to help someone put an edge on what they're doing, if they're failing, you guys have to tell me because I don't know. Because I promise it's probably a simple fix. You guys just got to communicate. It's not a competition. Just because I'm making the money that I'm making every single day and you're not, does not mean that you're not a good trader. It means that you still have some stuff to learn. And until everyone tells me what they're struggling with, I cannot teach that. And this is an educational Discord. And I promise you, I will stay up all fucking night if I get 100 DMs and people are struggling with something. Guess what? I'm gonna find a way to fix it. And that's what this is all about. Is I want people to get out of that scalping mentality, and I want people to utilize these longer time frames. I'm making one trade a day and I'm making a ton of money while other people are making 10 trades a day and losing money. There's a difference between that. It's because I know what I'm doing and you guys are still learning what you're doing. I'm here to help you all learn how to figure this out. But unless you guys tell me, I cannot help you. Um, and I'm thankful for Will and Jim being on here with me. Um, because these two guys, in all honesty, I'm not saying this being sarcastic. I think these two guys are better at trading than I am, but they don't trust themselves yet. In the moment they start trusting themselves, they're probably going to be on live with me and teaching you guys. But I also think there are so many people in this Discord that are silent because they're scared to talk, that are in the same position as you guys are in, that will not say anything. We all have equal opportunity. We're a team. We're not a competition. I don't give a shit if I make $5 tomorrow. If I see one of you guys make 1,000, guess what? I'm going to go buy a bottle of vodka and I'm going to drink to it because I'm fucking happy for you. And I want everyone to succeed. We're a team. We are not individual players here. This is not golf. This is a team sport, and we're all here together. And I want you guys to succeed. And I want you both individually and everyone else in the Discord to realize that you guys know what the fuck you're doing. It all comes down to capitalizing on your knowledge and utilizing it in the proper way. So I'm thankful for both of you. I appreciate both of you for doing this. I know you guys didn't have to. And I think everyone in the entire Discord is going to be thankful for you guys speaking out and letting everyone know that there is a struggle, even though you know what you're doing.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you very much. I know I could speak for Will too. I mean, we're really grateful that you've given us this opportunity to change our lives, right? And every day that we're doing this, I think is one step closer to changing it. And I kind of live by a quote of, the only person that you need to be better than is the one that you were yesterday.
Absolutely.
So just keep learning from what you did yesterday, and don't repeat the same mistakes, right? What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting the same result.
Absolutely.
Right. So it's time to level up, everybody. Let's do it.
It is. I mean, there's no better time than now. And I think we all have what it takes. the only person holding you guys back right now is yourself. You guys have the tools that you need to be successful, and you guys know what you need to be successful. And I think you guys are there. My advice to anyone that is not succeeding in this Discord, don't fucking look at that profit channel. You can post your shit in there. Don't look at it. This is not a competition. This is people that are proud of themselves for making money, and we post in there. Don't go in there and look and say, okay, someone made 300%, but I only made 200. It doesn't matter. We both succeeded. Stop comparing yourself to others, and that's all fucking succeed as a team. That's what this is all about. And I think we're all there. And I'm actually excited to see the trading day tomorrow after this. So I think Big Will and old Jim over here are going to have good days tomorrow. And I hope everyone follows with us.
Yes, sir.